All right, all right. Is it started yet?
Hmm.
All right. I don't know what happened before, but we're
Yeah.
gonna keep going. All right. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about something, but I wanted to start off by reading a Bible verse that is really a pivotal moment in scripture that I think dictates how men should operate because we have an unchanging God that we follow. If you are a Christian, even though people will say this is the Old Testament and blah 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 this and blah 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 that, God that we believe in the Old Testament is no different than the God in the New Testament. People have this misconception that Jesus Christ was soft and weak and some type of hippie Jesus. That's not who Jesus is. The same God of the Old Testament is the same God of the New Testament. So, Mr. Producer, I'm about to go to that verse. You can actually read some of it. It's in First Kings 18. Did we pull that?
Got it right here.
Where do
Yep.
we
I
have
got it.
that
I got
pulled
it.
up?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we could show it on screen too, just so people know we ain't
Sure. Yeah.
lying.
We're not making it up.
No.
First Kings 18.
Yeah, and it's I believe it's 30. We'll read like 30 through 40 something. Let me pull it up
30
because my
through
phone was acting up too.
40.
Satan don't want us to want us to go today.
30 to 40.
I know
That's
I'm,
what
I'm
I've
sound
got.
like somebody's grandma when I say Satan is trying to stop us. I don't believe that Satan is everywhere or omnipresent or anything like that. But sometimes when we do a show, everything just start going wrong,
Yeah.
and you kind of wonder what
Hmm.
is going
You
on
got to wonder what's
behind the
going on.
scenes here. So it's gonna be First Kings 18,
18.
and then you can start reading at
Yeah.
verse 30.
At 30. Yeah. Here we go. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come near to me." And all the people came near to him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 seahs of seed.
Hmm.
And he put the wood in order and cut the bull in pieces and laid it on the wood. And he said, fill 4 jars with water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. And he said, do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran around the altar and filled the trench also with water.
So basically, what it's exposing here is in his competition with the prophets of Baal, he drenched the altar with water. So much so that it filled the trenches that were around the altar as well. Meaning that it was so much water around this thing that there was no denying that it was completely encompassed in water. All right, let's continue reading.
And at the time of the offering of the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when
So
all the
the
people
fire of
saw
the
it, oh,
Lord was
yep.
so
Hmm.
strong, it consumed the water as well. Go ahead, you can read.
And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. And Elijah said to them, Seize the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they seized them. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slaughtered them there.
That's the part I want to focus on. What did Elijah do to the prophets of Baal?
Brought them down to the brook and slaughtered them.
He brought them down to the brook and slaughtered them. Now, the question you need to ask is why did he do that? I thought God was a merciful God and he only wants to love people and bring them to himself because they didn't know the sin they were doing. And when they did the sin, it was because they didn't understand how much God really loved them. And when he brought them to himself, they all had a big hug and they sung songs and they pranced around and they did gay activities and then they praised the Lord. Right? No. The prophets of Baal who were destroying the land at that time needed to be put down. You know why? And I'm explaining to you why. They were destroying all of society. Jezebel and her husband, they were destroying all of society, making everybody bow down to their false god. And with their false god came all types of degeneracy. If you look into historical facts, they were engaged in sexual promiscuity. They were engaged in all type of temple prostitution. They were engaged in child sacrifice. All things we see today. We see child sacrifice and abortion. We see prostitution and OnlyFans. We see just general degeneracy in every streamer that I covered over the last few weeks. You can't tell me that society is not mirroring what they did back then. Now, here's the thing. I'm tired of weak Christians acting as if it's time to be soft with the prophets of Baal. It's fine because here's what Elijah did. Let's not ignore the good things he did too, because what he did is he performed a miracle. God performed a miracle through Elijah and caused people to worship. We got that part, right? We all agree. People turned to God because what they saw him do on that altar. When the fire came down and consumed, people said, praise the Lord. This is the true God. Good. That's great. Then there's some people that ain't gonna change. These people, these prophets of Baal that say, we don't care what God does in front of us. We're still prophets. We still like our power. We still like the degenerate society we created. We are still going to, as soon as he leaves, going to perpetuate the evil of society that we've caused thus far. And guess what? Elijah said, no, since you guys are liars, I'm here to destroy you. You must die. Now, then some Christians gonna come and say, well, that's the Old Testament and we don't longer kill people anymore. Okay, cool. We got that. We must abide by the laws of today. We have to abide. We don't just go around killing people we disagree with. Now, I'm not condoning that. As a Christian, I don't say grab your weapons and go hunt down Muslims, Buddhists, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons. I don't say to do that. But I do say this. There is a time, and I believe that time is now, where Christian men can stop trying to be friends with the enemy. It's time to put an end to the enemy. And what I mean by enemy is those who do not have a listening ear to the gospel, those who do not want to even have a conversation, but they just want to demean everything that's Christian. They want to cause degeneracy to grow in all of society. They believe in sexual degeneracy for kids, sexual degeneracy for women. They believe in neutering men, and they will not stop. Those type of people have to be destroyed in argumentation. Maybe not physically, because we can't, but verbally, logically, destroying their arguments, that's something I think we must do. Stop trying to be friends with the enemy. Sometimes people need to be humbled. And that is my theme for today. And that's one of the reasons I'm getting ahead of myself, why I'm not too big of a fan of a certain debate style that we're going to see. You know, let's hop right into this. So there was a debate. Trent Horn, he debated Farha. I talked about Farha on the influencers that are annoying, and she made like a medium tier. She, let's see here. Let me pull my notes up. Trent Horn and Farha or Farha, whatever her name is. She's like Pakistani and Indian or something like that. I play Punjabi up in the lobby. She is Indian and something else. And she's super, super liberal, as you will see. As far left as you can go. Like, I don't think me and her agree on very much. And then you got Trent Horn, who is representing the conservative right wing. And they had a debate on whatever podcast. I think everybody should go and watch it Not because it's particularly good, but then you'll get a full understanding of what I'm talking about here. You want to go to that first clip?
Transgresses monogamy if, for instance, you're watching porn and stuff like that, or if
Yeah,
you're like
and I'm not like a super weird like, oh my gosh, if you glance and notice somebody, you're cheating. It's like there's a difference between a
looking at someone and checking them out.
there's a difference
yeah.
between a snapshot and time lapse photography.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so my point was like lust based off both of our definitions. I don't mean just checking someone out, right? So if I were walking around in, let's say not even this outfit, I'm at the beach wearing a bikini, right? Let's say 90% of the people who check me out are married men. I would say that they've committed adultery. So would you.
Yeah,
I
it
wouldn't
should-
then say that I have a moral onus to cover up just because most of the people looking at me shouldn't be, right? It's fine for single people to look at me, perhaps, or it's fine for people who aren't like transgressing a monogamous relationship. But why does the onus fall on me for them transgressing it when both watching porn and subscribing to someone's OnlyFans and checking someone out by both of our worldviews is infidelity? So why is the onus only falling me for one of those? Is it just because I'm making money off it, or what is it?
No, I would reject the premise. I would say that it's wrong for you to use nudity and sex to make money on OnlyFans, and I also think women who do it for free on the beach, that's also wrong. I think
Wear bikinis.
Yeah, I think that people, that's the virtue of modesty. And the reason for that is I believe, and this is where I think we might differ, I think sex has an inherent, powerful meaning that is always communicated in sexual acts. It is something intrinsic. You can't turn it off. So you can't be like, oh, when I have sex with this person, it means something. But when I have sex with this person, it doesn't mean anything. That's a lie. That's
wanna
not true.
pause that,
Under
Mr.
my
Blue?
view of what sex is, because it's written in
Here's where I can agree with him. I agree with pretty much everything he said right there. And what my issue is not what he's saying, it's his debate style. And you're going to see this throughout the debate. He's coming to this debate as if he's having a regular conversation with a regular person. But he knows this girl is an OnlyFans creator, which means she's a pornographer. She creates adult content. And then not only that, but she has no problem, as you'll see, with destroying society by providing this type of content to married men and only blaming the married men, but nothing on her side. So, my problem with how he approaches this is he approaches it in a sense of, well, you should understand. We're just having a conversation like friends. No, this woman is not your friend. She wants nothing better than to take men's money and to cause them to lust. That's what she does. That's how she gets paid. That's what her business model is all about. She wants men to lust after her and give her your money. The money that goes to your family, the money that goes to your children, and then blame you for it. Well, you shouldn't be lusting after me in the first place. And here's my issue with a lot of these feminists and a lot of these idiot liberal lefties. They only put the weight on the man. And part of the problem with Trent Horn and his debate tactics is he has no problem putting more weight on the man as well, as you'll see. Here's the thing though. When you hold people accountable, you hold men accountable. And you say, listen, you ought not to lust. Don't even put yourself in a place where you might even be tempted to lust. If you can't handle going to the beach, then don't go to the beach. Here's the problem though. Women are sluts for attention, especially nowadays. They are addicted to it beyond measure, and everybody knows that. If you had an all-male gym, they would be breaking the doors down to put their little naked butts all in your face. They do this everywhere. Go search workout videos on Instagram. See if you get male workouts or see if you get a bunch of females with skin-tight leggings pulling them up their butt cheeks and showing you why they bending over right in camera. These girls cannot wait to get your attention. And I say that because what it is we don't hold them accountable for their problem. Their problem is a pride problem and it's a lack of modesty. This Farah girl and liberals all together, they never want to hold women accountable for their lack of modesty because they don't believe in the virtues of Christianity. And here's my issue. You cannot call men out and not call women out. Even if I went out with no lust in my heart and every girl is half naked, like they are outside today, every girl is half naked with their sports bra on and their leggings shorts that go right up their crotch. That's a problem still. That's a sin issue still. It's a lack of modesty still. Even if I choose not to lust and I just say, you know what, that's inappropriate. Well, that you shouldn't tell a woman what to wear and you don't have any right to. Yes, I do. I can hold a woman to a standard of modesty. We could play more of that part. Mm-hmm.
Into our nature as human beings. Sex always is about communicating that kind of marital love. Now, revealing the sexual elements of one's body is a prelude to that. So I believe that sex is not just something that we do, it's something that we are. Like, we are sexual beings. You have a female body, I have a male body. And so there's sexual elements to that help to entice. And so there's power to that. Like there's sexual power. Like, women have that just in their form. There's if you look online, there's a bazillion Renaissance paintings of topless ladies in beds. There's very few of men naked in beds. Our bodies just don't look as nice.
I mean,
Pause
the
that
bikini
right there.
is kind of arbitrary.
Here's one thing you'll notice, and I know you guys will think I'm nitpicking, but I'm not. There is this self-deprecating thing that a lot of these simp men do, and that he does it too. And I'm not gonna say I disagree with him. I don't think that he's not a Christian. I don't think that he's a terrible debater. But I do think he falls in line with what I'm about to say. It's always putting men down, but never women. Men just don't look as good. We struggle with this. My wife is so great at that. But they will never say, I'm better at this, or women suck at that. Never. They cannot say it. I guarantee, go through the whole debate and let him say something that women suck at. He won't say it that way. But when it comes to men, it's like, yeah, men suck at that. Andrew Tate sucks. He's a scumbag. You're sitting across from a scumbag, sir. She's a scumbag. Straight up. The prophets of Baal, that's her. She's destroying society. She has no remorse for what she's doing. You're talking to somebody who's completely evil and her ideology needs to be destroyed. You're not having coffee with a friend, sir. You're going to see this because some people probably think, oh man, he's probably exaggerating. Trent Horn's not doing that bad. You didn't watch the whole debate. He let her run all over him, trying to be nice. And part of the problem with these conservative dudes, they don't have the fire, they don't have the zeal, they don't have the capacity to hold women accountable. They really don't. And you're going to see that later on with some of the stuff he says. I'm like, where did you get this from? People love holding Protestants accountable, but then you see this weak Catholic stuff. You're like, oh, really? This is what? Catholicism? Okay. So let's play. You can play more of this one, actually. Just a little bit more.
Right? Like, men can obviously lust after women or check out women who are dressed modestly as well, right?
And that's on them.
Right. So it becomes on me once I'm in the bikini or on OnlyFans, right? So I guess my point was, I don't think I'm responsible for someone else committing adultery. I don't market my OnlyFans towards married men. There are some porn sites like that where it's like, life's short, cheat on your wife. I would agree that that's unethical because you're like marketing towards adultery, right? But I would say that same way, I don't think the onus is on me if I'm walking around in a sweater and a guy's lusting after me if I'm wearing, like, you know, a tight turtleneck. Yeah. I don't market my content towards married men, and I don't know why the onus would be on me if they're committing adultery, right, when my content's not targeted towards it. And like, an analogy I think of is, you know, a lot of men, for instance, use dating apps to cheat on their wives. I don't think, you know, there's something inherently wrong with Bumble. It's not designed for married people to use, but it is a medium where married men routinely do cheat on their wives, right?
Right. No, I have other issues just with dating apps in general.
Wait, hold on, pause this, because he's going to go into a tirade about dating apps that has nothing to do with the conversation. And he goes on this and talks about how much he hates dating apps. That's not the point. It's funny that you let her run over you with something that everybody in society knows women actually do more than men, and that is seek attention. Women will go and they will purposely put out sexual pictures on Instagram. It's not men doing this. It's women doing this for attention. Women will go, and there's internet. You can find this on TikTok. You can find this on Instagram. You can find it on YouTube of men finding out their wife has a Bumble or some dating site profile, and she will admit, yeah, I have it, but it's just to get my confidence up. This happens all the time. He didn't push back on that at all. It's just like, yeah, men suck. Yeah, men suck, am I right? Yeah. He don't push back on it. This is why we need some Andrew Wilsons out there. People hate on Andrew Wilson. He's too mean. He calls women sluts and whores. It's better than letting them get away with these debate tactics where they can constantly berate men, mow them down with no defense. This dude is up there just letting this girl run circles around him. Act like she got a point. Yeah, you're right about that. No, she's not. No, she's not. Women do that on a way worse scale than men do. It ain't men going around just constantly cheating. The levels of cheating are darn near equal from men to women. And here's the thing that's so bad about that. First of all, we know women don't accept accountability, so that's the women that have admitted to it. We know that number's way down. Secondly, men have 17 times more testosterone, which is our sexual drive, than women. So why should the numbers even be close to being equal? That don't even make sense. So the fact that they're even equal shows that women in society feel like they can do no wrong. Men have way more of a sexual drive on average than women do, and still women are catching up to us in cheating? Explain that. What? So you can go to the next part. She be talking that nonsense all through this whole video. Yeah, the next one.
Is just like she could have sex with her abusive husband, or she puts peanut butter on her vagina and lets the dog lick it off. And it's like, at least the dog doesn't make fun of me, man's best friend. Do you think that's better for her than sleeping with her husband?
What? Pause
My
it.
concerns
Pause
with
it.
bestiality.
Pause it. Oh my
Virtue.
gosh. To even say at this point shows you what her perspective is. These are the people you're debating with. Hey, would you rather have sex with a man or a dog? I gotta think about it. I gotta ask my liberal, people that are over me, my overseers about that, because we haven't really discussed it in our last meeting. What? How is this a question? This ain't no Should a woman have sex with a man or her husband or a dog? I don't know. These are the type of people that need to be destroyed. You understand what I'm saying? When I say prophets of Baal, the fact that her morality even has a question in that, these are the people that want to teach your children. These are the people that get online and get on shows and talk about what men should do. And she don't even know what's more moral, having sex with a dog or having sex with the husband who might be abusive. And liberals, y'all know everything's abusive to them, including speaking too loudly. You can play the rest.
Sex is for people, and we know it's for people
You gotta
because of
put
the
it on the
procreative
screen.
end. When you take that away, you get all of this just crazy.
But if the issue for you, for why it's wrong to have sex with a dog, has little concern with the animal cruelty, it's simply because you're saying sex is designed for two people to engage with. So just get rid of the dog in general, because it has nothing to do with animal
because what
cruelty,
you're trying to
and
do,
then focus on the masturbation, because the
No.
dog is good shock value. But if the issue is just that sex is designed for two people, why not just keep it between masturbation? Like, why not just have it be masturbation?
Because your
the animals' desires are irrelevant to you in the moral equation, so just have it be masturbation versus whatever type of sex with a crummy guy.
The reason I have to do that is because masturbation is very common.
That's better.
Okay, it's just a lot of the people
But in
watching.
your view, it's as disordered as bestiality, because the only reason, by your view, bestiality is morally disordered is because sex is designed for two people, ideally in marriage and ordered towards procreation. The animal cruelty is irrelevant to you.
No, because it's not about.
You notice
because
this?
it's not about
And this is
animal
just debate
cruelty.
101.
It's that sex is designed for
You can
husband
pause.
and
Can
wife.
I finish? Can
Yeah.
I finish, please?
Before he goes on to his next point. This is debate 101. She is constantly putting him on the defense where he has to defend his point of view. In your view, you say this. In your view, you say that. Instead of him putting her on the defense and saying, where does your morality come from? Your morality boils down to just your preferences, your secular preferences that you just make up as you go. Whatever feelings you have that day is your preferences. If you and a couple other your liberal friends get together and decide it's cool for a dog to have sex with you, y'all totally fine with that. As long as it doesn't cause harm to the animal. This is how they think. And this is what they want your children to think. And this is what they want society to think. So y'all sit over here, and here's my problem with his debate tactics. He's way too kind. He's constantly on the defense. He's letting her dictate the conversation. How in the world are you supposed to win this culture war when you let somebody who thinks it's okay to have sex with dogs just totally dog you out?
I see what you did there.
She's controlling the whole conversation and putting him on the defense, and he has not even for once asked her, okay, you got a problem with my morality. Where does your morality come from? She cannot answer that. And here's the thing. Whenever you ask a liberal that, they're going to obfuscate and say, but you think this one. No, we're talking about you. You had your chance to question me. Where does your morality come from? I'm not letting you escape or equivocate or dodge or whatever word you want to use or do the destiny meth mouth. You're not going to do that. You're going to answer me, where does your morality come from? And if it boils down to just your preferences and just what you think or just what's cool for society, there's a billion more problems with that worldview than there is with Christianity, which has built the best societies on the planet. You're never going to win that argument, and they know that's why they don't want to be on the defense. You can play the rest of that part.
Because I have constructed an example where it can't be cruel because the animal isn't suffering any harm or pain or anything like that, any more than if you let him lick the jam out of the jar.
Yeah.
Or lick, if the jam like spilled on your leg, you're having dinner, and that's the trope with the dog, right? The food falls from the table, dog comes and eats it. Dang it, I dropped the jam on my foot. Fido, and he comes over and licks the jam off your foot. Nobody cares. That's not cruelty. But I'm picking this example because it shocks people. Like, whoa, that's bad. That's That's gross, because they've lived in a culture that has brainwashed them to say, oh yeah, it's fine. Masturbation is fine. Sodomy is fine. These things are fine. And so now I have to say, look, if you take that thinking as to why you think it's fine, you got to accept all these other things. Because I gave the other example. I don't know if I mentioned I think before the show, but it doesn't have to even just be a living animal. What about people who use roadkill as a masturbatory aid? So that's necrophilic bestiality.
Yeah, you could still
there's no cruelty there, but clearly that's freaking messed up.
Yes.
But you can't say it's wrong.
No, I could still say something is disorder the same way if someone told me they refuse to eat any foods that aren't like the color blue, we would think
That
that's
is
like,
not the
again, a
same.
proxy for some mental issue.
No, that's not
we
the
should
same.
probably correct for it.
No,
It's disordered. I don't know if I would necessarily call it immoral. The same way, again, if the issue for you isn't any animal cruelty or the desires of the animal, why not swap bestiality for, like you said, dendrophilia, people who like to have sex with trees?
They're also people, when most people say they're weird too.
Is
You
it
know
morally
what?
wrong?
Hold on,
Is
pause
that
this.
more?
See how she goes? She goes down a rabbit hole, rabbit trail, whatever you want to call it, and he follows her there. He shouldn't have. He should have stuck there. He should have stuck there. It's kind of like with somebody in the corner when you boxing and you got him in the corner. Don't let him out that corner. That's how he should have done. Stop letting her lead you down all these rabbit trails and stick. Stick on this. That was a good question he asked. The good question is, what makes something morally wrong? That's the essential, the foundation of that question. What makes something morally wrong? And her principle, you can see, is like the harm principle. It's harming this, it's harming that. And so then he comes up with a great example, which I'll give you credit. That's a good example. Andrew Wilson uses this example all the time. If you have roadkill or somebody's dead grandma who consented to it before she died, is it okay to be sexually involved with that dead carcass? And if you answer no, you would have to then explain why you answered no, because you can't just say harm because it's not causing harm. And then they would say, well, it's diseases and stuff. Okay, wait, say we cleaned it and we tested it. Now what? A hypothetical is supposed to test your thinking. So when you present somebody with that hypothetical and they don't have an answer, it's because their morality has been tainted. Their morality is degenerate. And that's what he should have stuck on. But instead, he allows her to move forward with her line of question, and instead of saying, no, you didn't give me an answer. Nope. She gets to weasel around. It's kind of like you having somebody in the corner boxing, and then you say, wait, time out. Let her get off the corner. And then she goes back to the middle and says, okay, let's fight. That's not how a debate is supposed to go. Why'd you let her out the corner, Trent? Go ahead.
Morally wrong.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's not what trees are for. You are.
Is it as morally wrong as bestiality?
Is it as morally wrong?
It should be by your view, because it's irrelevant about because you don't think animals are rational agents, so it has nothing to do with the effects or harms on the animal.
Different disordered activities can be right or wrong based on various circumstances. All right.
That's a terrible answer.
Like, I think that fornication, like having sex outside of marriage, is wrong, and also that rape is wrong, because because sex is for expressing marital love.
But that rape is worse than fornication, yeah.
Right, even though both of them because what is marital love? Marital love is the free gift of self. So it's wrong in fornication because you have not been bonded together, and it's wrong in rape because you're not freely giving.
Yeah,
so yeah, you could pick. I'm picking all of these other examples because once people start to think about it, they say, oh yeah, this is. Or there's other, well, I can get away from those.
Wait, sorry, one more thing. So the reason that rape for you is morally worse than fornication is because the reason fornication is wrong is primarily because it's sex outside of marriage. The reason that rape is wrong is because, one, it could be sex outside of marriage. Two, you're lacking the necessary condition of consent. So it's two things. For you, the one main reason for why bestiality is wrong has nothing to do with the effects of the animal or the animal's personal desires, because they're not rational agents to you. It's just that they're using sex in a disordered way. So dendrophilia should be as disordered to you on the same level as bestiality, because it's not introducing a second wrong thing. Rape versus fornication adds a second wrong thing, a second transgression of a necessary condition. No. What does bestiality offer that dendrophilia doesn't, since you're not factoring in the animal's desires?
No, I'm saying that essentially, whether you call it dendrophilia or bestiality or necrophilic bestiality, roadkill, so that's not involving any infliction of cruelty whatsoever, or consensual necrophilia. Your spouse dies, agrees to be stuffed and kept in the house, and do whatever you want. Essentially, all of these things, they're essentially masturbation with different masturbatory tools.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
That's what they all are.
They should all be the same level.
Masturbating. He's doing the same thing again. He's letting her dictate the whole conversation instead of asking her, okay, and sticking on it and making her present her stupid arguments as to why it's not wrong. She's doing that very thing to him. She's saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? And he's constantly on the defense, just blocking and never attacking. And that's part of his weakness, because I'm telling you, one of the reasons why I think he would avoid Andrew Wilson is you can't play that with him. He's not going to sit back and just let you attack him and not present an argument that will be a counterattack to you. And here's the thing, I agree with him more, but he's so much on the defense to this that he's not exposing how stupid her worldview is. She has no reason that having sex with roadkill would be wrong, according to her. She even says that later on in the argument. She has no reason, but yet he's the one defending his beliefs more. That makes no sense. Our laws are actually based on Christianity when it comes to things like that. It's a reason why it's illegal to do that. It's a reason why it's illegal to defame a carcass. It's a reason why these things, and it's not secular based. It's Christianity based. And everybody tends to agree with it. Why? Because in Romans chapter 1, it says the word of God is written on your heart and your conscience. Everyone knows it's wrong, whether you say it or whether you were taught it explicitly or not. Whether you think it caused harm and you can justify harm and how much harm it causes or not. We know it's wrong. That icky feeling that you have is because you know it's wrong. It's not just because, oh, I don't prefer that. No, it's sin. It's wrong against God. People, animals are created by God. People are created in the image of God. You don't just get to do whatever with animals or people. You have to answer to the creator for that. So when people get all confused and they want to have these arguments, I'm like, yo, can you pinpoint why that's wrong to you? Not what's wrong to me. Why is it wrong to you? Let's go to the next tab.
Would you be willing to ask your users if they're married and if they're I don't know what they're called on OnlyFans. I have a Patreon.
Subs, like subscribers.
Okay. Would you be willing to ask your subs, hey, if you're married, could you unsub from me, please? Would you be willing to ask them that?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at my social media profile, like, it's all about just me saying, like, I don't think guys should watch porn in relationships. It's definitely not, like, I'm not two-faced
then
about this.
you'd have no problem asking them, like, a little message, like, hey, thanks for subscribing. By the way, if you're married, I would really prefer...
I would have a problem with it, not because I disagree with the sentiment, but because I think part of the fantasy of OnlyFans is not that it caters to men in relationships, but the fantasy is you're playing, like, this sort of character. So I think to give this sort of, like, sterile message to someone on an OnlyFans would, like, break a fantasy, not because I want those types of customers, but that's why I'd be against it, like, from the performance standpoint.
Do you feel bad at all for the misery it causes a lot of those spouses when these men go to see you for this fantasy? Do you feel bad about that at all?
I feel bad for it, but not in a guilt way.
Pause
like,
that.
You know what I mean?
This is the problem right here. If I made a focal point of the problem with Trent, this is it right here. And I'll explain why. He asked her, do you feel bad about what you're doing when you're making these millions of dollars and you're slutting yourself out online and getting all this attention? Do you feel bad? That will be just like Elijah that we read that chapter in 1 Kings 18, asking the prophets of Baal, don't you feel bad that you worship Baal? Don't you feel bad that you set up this altar? Don't you feel bad that you were doing all these rituals and satanic things? Don't you just feel bad about it? No, they don't feel bad. They're evil. Why are you expecting people that are non-Christian to have Christian morality and a standard of living that we have from the Holy Spirit? Why do you expect that? This is what I'm talking about with men. When you go to these whores, hoes, OnlyFans, 304s, whatever you want to call them, thoughts, ladies of the night, strumpets, what other names can I make up? Stanky leg ladies, whatever you want to call them. When you go to any of these women, they don't feel bad about what they do because they don't have the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is what convicts me. And I'm not talking about in no magical way either. I'm talking about the Holy Spirit that Jesus Christ promised is what comes inside of you as a Christian and causes you to be sanctified, set apart, different than those of the world. And you don't feel, think, or act the same way they do. So holding these evil people to the standard, well, do you feel bad? No, they don't. And why would you expect them to? They don't feel bad. So when you try to come to this debate, and this is what be pissing me off about these trad people. When you come to a debate and you sit down with one of them and you say, you know what? You really should just tell people not to do that. Why would they? Why? Why? Her whole life is based on being a slut. She's proud of it. You see her with this Popeye the Sailor Winch costume on. She looked like a straight up, a woman of the night on a slave ship or something. What is she doing? You were gonna say something, Mr. Producer?
Yeah, it could be the lighting on this video, but are there actually lenses on her glasses?
I don't even know. That could be part of the
act. I was wondering if
well.
that's part of the act too, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this sailor outfit she got on, looking like a Sailor Moon backup, I don't know what this is. And the thing about it is she wore that because it's enticing, because she has an OnlyFans, because she can get more people. She doesn't give a crap that people that just subscribe to her OnlyFans if they're underage. She doesn't give a crap if they're married. It's all about her and what she wants to do. And here's the thing. When you go and you debate somebody who is a complete degenerate like that, there is a small chance that the Holy Spirit may be pricking on their soul to bring them to himself. But then once you see that they are unrepentant, they came here for a debate to defend their worldview, it's your job to destroy their worldview. Why? Because they're here to destroy yours. Why? Because they have no respect for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why? Because they, if they had their way, would outlaw Christianity if they could. This is a culture war. You are not here to be friends with these people. And some people to get it confused because they say, well, Christians are supposed to love everybody. Sometimes love is discipline. Sometimes love is handing somebody over to Satan, as they talk about in 1 Corinthians. It is not just this gushy, well, come here and let's talk about it. Sometimes love is, I'm not letting you do that to my kids because I see the damage you cause in the society to you and yours. You're not doing that over here. It's love to say that. It's love to enact punishment. You don't get to tell Christians we don't get to enact the punishment that God has ordained. God has a wrath set up for evil people. God has set it up so that we in society can manipulate society to be more following and capitulating God's laws. Our whole system and every good society that was ever built has Christianity at the center. There is no secularist society that just is running so smoothly that there's no. All the good places that all these illegal immigrants are trying to break into, Christian places with Christian foundations. So I don't buy none of these. You know, continue playing that one a little bit, and then we'll go to the next one.
I mean, like, I sympathize for them, but again,
To
like,
quote Jay Sherman, the critic, how do you sleep at night? On top of piles of money with many
you know
beautiful
how
ladies.
I sleep at night is that, like, prior to OnlyFans exploding in popularity, like, I was someone who always had like a vehement rule, like, I will not date a guy who watches pornography. Every friend, boyfriend, any person.
Wait, you said that before OF or when you started working?
You know what? Pause this,
I
because look at how they don't even see their own hypocrisy. She produces OnlyFans content. She produces pornography. She produces this smut material. And she won't date anybody who watches it. That's what? How in the world does that make sense to anybody? I have a standard for you. Don't look at what I'm doing. I'm a professional dancer, but don't you dare look at people who dance. I make burgers for a living, but I won't date anybody who makes burgers, who eats burgers. How does this make sense to anybody? And she is justifying it. And the thing about it is, he fails to call her out on her hypocrisy to the standard that means anything. It's okay to, yeah, or I'll put it this way. It's not doing anything to not hold her feet to the fire. To just point it out is one thing. But you, in a debate, your job is to make the other person's positions look illogical. In other words, to make them look stupid. That's part of it. That's what a debate is for. It's not just coming and discussing life. You do that with your friends in your living room. You're here to debate, to present a worldview. You're supposed to make her ideology feel stupid. Why? Because younger girls are watching her and deciding, we're going to do the same thing she does. If you don't get that, look, this is why we got to have a platform, and I got to get on places like this. Because I'm not scared to point out the evils of society and to call people to their face and say, listen, this is stupid for this reason. And you're a stupid and evil person for perpetuating that in our society. I don't want my daughter to be like you. I don't want my wife to be like you. Less people like you in society, the better. You should be punished for what you're creating and doing. And anybody who consumes it should be punished. And if you don't have the balls to say that about her, then don't say it about Andrew Tate. Then don't say it about anybody else that's some clavicular. You got to hold the standard the same way all the way around, not just for the men. Go ahead. You can go to the next tab.
for it to be exclusive.
We need to go to the basement though to keep going.
You were saying why split up the types of love, but even you split it up by going romantic love by nature or ideally should be more exclusive than platonic love, right? So you would also split
love
it.
has a core concept and it's going to be manifested in different ways. It's also hard because we only have one word for love. In other languages, they have multiple words. So in Greek, there's at least 4 words for love. So you have eros, romantic love, storge, philios, the love of friendship, and then you have one, the highest of them, agape, which is just self-sacrificial love, the love when you would just give your life for a friend or even for like a stranger. So the core concept of love, I would say, is love is putting, willing the good for another. To love someone is to will their good. And another way I could phrase it is this: love is when you put other people's needs ahead of your wants. And so for me, the opposite of love then.
It sounds good, and I wouldn't even disagree with what he's saying. But why is he still on the defense of explaining his beliefs? And none of these clips is she explaining hers. We can listen to you rattle on about love and things that are not that controversial that she would agree with all day, and it will get us nowhere. All the things that Christianity says about love, until you go and do a deep dive in them, people would agree with. Love is selfless, love is kind, love does not want. All these things, people will say, that sounds so sweet. We're not here to simply talk about the things we agree with. Pinpoint why she is not doing that and why that's bad for society. If you ain't doing that, I could care less what your view of love is. How is it relevant to this conversation? You go to the next tab for me.
Any woman wants their partner watching porn.
And there are studies, 2014 study that was a representative study with about 20,000 couples said that exposure to pornography, it was the Dorn and Price 2014 study, saying that they were more likely to have an affair, they were less likely to report happiness in their marriage. So I'm glad. So you see.
But the paramount issue for me why I think porn use is wrong is because I think it's a form of infidelity, not that it has those negative consequences.
Well, it's a sign that you've done something wrong.
My concern isn't that it's a gateway for cheating, because I think in a way that still takes away the responsibility.
Look, it's
for the
wrong.
man
It's wrong.
for
You're
having
cheating.
the
You're
affair.
cheating. It doesn't matter if you go.
One, I think it doesn't fit the definition of monogamy, which is sexual exclusivity, which
Yes.
most relationships say
Sure.
they subscribe to. So I think you're breaking the relationship. I think men who watch porn but won't let their girlfriend
But
be on
then
OnlyFans
why-
are in like one-sided open relationships.
Sure, and I'm glad you say, like,
Yeah.
I'm super stoked you agree that married men using porn,
It's
it's
cheating.
cheating.
Yeah.
But just as you would not sleep with your friend's husband, why are you doing OnlyFans knowing there's husbands checking you out? Like, come on, just quit.
For the same reason that being young, and you see women on TikTok every day, they just walk around normally and they say, I find it really depressing to see married men check me out and realize the only thing separating me from his wife is
Come
age.
on, you don't
So is being young.
you don't
So should women
see-
who are, okay, you even admitted it's easier as a younger woman to pull men. Should younger women try to hamper their beauty since married men are more likely to lust after them than women their own age?
There is
At what
clearly-
point do you not
No,
put the
come on,
onus
this
on
is-
the person?
this is disingenuous.
No.
Come on, no.
That's actually more.
No one is
that's
buying
more.
this.
Yes, it is.
Nobody's buying this.
buying that men,
No one is
older
buying
men
it.
are more
Hold on,
likely
you're
to
saying
lust
that-
after.
He is letting her railroad him. She is dead wrong, and he almost caught her in peak hypocrisy, and he didn't press. He's still letting her railroad. Look, at some point, I would even, go to the moderator and be like, listen, she's not answering this question. Are you going to cause her to stop all this gobbledygook talk? Or is somebody going to make her answer this question? I'll answer all her questions. Here's the question I want for her to ask. And the question he asked at the beginning was pretty decent, because he's saying, if men can't watch this stuff and you consider that cheating, then why not women producing this stuff be cheating? And her answer was not good. She went to, that's not an answer. I need you to understand, and this is where this is part of the problem with feminism. Men are held to a standard where you cannot look at another woman, or even the most feminist of women will say, you're cheating on me for giving her attention. But then in the same breath, they will say, I can dress as slutty as I want and produce an OnlyFans, and that's not cheating. They will say this and believe this in their little monkey brains, that it's okay for them to create an OnlyFans where men lust after them and touch themselves or pretend they're in a relationship with her, and that's not cheating. And he didn't press the issue. He let her slide because she's railroading him with all these words, because she knows she don't want to be put in that corner. He needs to be like, nope, we're not leaving this corner. You're going to answer to me, is it cheating when you put yourself out for display? When you know you have a husband? Because she's engaged to some loser out there, some lame out there, some dude who ain't never watched the channel out there. He got to be the lowest of all men. Popeye the Sailor Wench got a husband coming on the way. Anyways, play the rest of this part.
younger women
You're
than
saying
older
there's
women.
no difference from just being attractive and walking down the street
In
and
terms
turning
of-
on your
in
webcam
terms
and
of
sticking
morally-
your fist up your ass.
in terms of moral responsibility
Not that you
for
do that.
him
I don't know what
committing-
you do, and I'm glad I don't know what you do.
In terms of moral responsibility for the man perpetrating adultery, yes, there's no difference in moral responsibility on my end. Same way, just because younger women tend to be more checked out than older women by married men doesn't mean they have a responsibility to like hide their beauty or their youth. Would you agree married men tend to check out
that is
younger
like saying,
women over
Farha,
older women?
Real quick. Hiding your youth is a far cry away from putting your butthole online and charging people $5 a month to see you play with your butthole. That is a big difference between just being naturally beautiful, dressing modest, and walking outside, and to let her try to act like those two things are the same thing. No. Like any man with any like understanding of sexuality, any woman with any under would not let that slide. But she's really presenting at that as her argument of the day. It's not fair to hold women to a standard where they can't be beautiful. No. OnlyFans is not about being beautiful. It's a lot of ugly women that I'm sure are on OnlyFans, but because they're willing to do some crazy, outrageous sex stuff, I'm sure they have subscribers. I'm sure. It's not about that. It's about being sexually enticing and using your sexuality to lure men in and pretend you have a relationship with them. The studies on OnlyFans talk about how the biggest creators on the platform, they get their money from private videos, from private messages, from private photos, meaning that these men want to pretend as if they have an exclusive relationship with this woman. That's what the draw is. It ain't that they just want to look at you and be your friend. This is insane. You can play the next tab. We don't want to be these hoes, friend.
Perhaps the credit, or from your perspective, the blame on Andrew's meteoric rise could be placed.
I got him on Joe Rogan.
Essentially, but yeah, no, I saw that clip, and that's what made me invite Andrew on the Whatever podcast, and you know, we generated essentially 1 billion views for Andrew, and kind of were, you know, I think the first like bigger platform to have him on, and we had him on 50, 60, 70 times. So it's
while this
all
nostalgic lane has been great,
interesting. Well, interestingly enough, because you engaged with Andrew Wilson as a feminist, it actually, I don't know if you'd consider this platforming, it's actually, I think, the direct result for all his success in this sort of...
I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Actually, the first video I saw of Andrew Wilson was him debating her about the force doctrine. And I thought it was really, really good. And that's what made me start following him. I was like, whoa, that's a really good argument. He was talking about how men have monopoly on force. And I was like, man, this is excellent. I've always thought that, but I couldn't articulate it the way that he had. And I thought it was a great argument. And I stole that argument, and I'm still stealing it. And part of the reason why I watch Andrew Wilson is to steal all of his arguments. The thing is, I do think that the Whatever podcast was like a stepping stone for him, but I don't think Farha, whatever her name is, was a stepping stone. He ran through plenty of people. He was gonna get discovered eventually anyway because he's just a good debater. But I want y'all to focus on Trent, because Trent Horn has been running away from Andrew Wilson. And I don't even necessarily agree with every single thing. Like when it comes to theology and the ortho bros, I disagree. I'm Reformed Baptist, so we disagree on a lot of those things. But do I think Trent Horn, who's Catholic, he's definitely running away from Andrew, man. He did not want to talk. They said on the show, Brian, the host, was like, "Hey, should we have Andrew call in?" He was like, "No, please, no, please, no." He did not want that smoke. He didn't say please no, but you could see the panic in his eyes. He was like, "No, no, no." He was not having that Andrew call in, man. He was not having it. We could play more of that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I was thinking of that. So, because if it wasn't for that clip, I would have never.
You would have never met him.
I
You're
would have never
welcome.
seen Andrew Wilson. So I guess I have to.
You're
thank
welcome for
you.
giving
I have
you a content
Andrew
gold
Wilson,
mine.
and Andrew, I have to thank a feminist for putting Andrew Wilson on my radar, which sort of created this cascading domino effect of.
Behind every
everything.
successful man is
Well, there
a
you
woman.
go. Exactly that. Yeah, there you go.
It's not Rachel, it's me.
Yeah, I think I would say, I know Andrew's being a little critical right now. I'm not sure why he needs to be. We have two different approaches. The only criticism, I've never had a criticism, I actually defended Andrew saying he did a
we
good
must have
job
missed that part. Pause
debating
it
Matt
real quick.
Dillahunty, for example, on
He's responding to a Andrew Wilson put in a chat. What is it called? Whatever, when people put in they pay to say the little chat thing.
Like a super chat or
Yeah,
something?
he put in a
Yeah.
super chat, and the super chat basically said that Trent was losing the debate. He was letting her run all over him, and that he wasn't doing a good job defending his position. And I agree. I agree. And that's why you see Trent responding. So continue playing this.
secular ethics. I've seen him debate Muslims and do a very good job with that. My only criticism of him is I think that we should not, as Christians, we should always treat people with respect and be Christ-like, and we shouldn't be verbally abusive. It's fine if we get a little bit assertive in what we say, but we don't have to be, we should still treat people with kindness even if we're vigorous. I think that we've had a civil exchange even if it's vigorous.
That's
I don't know how
part of
you
the
would feel.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So I mean,
pause that
I
real
think
quick.
that
Pause that.
that's something, and that's like my main.
This is part of the problem. People like Trent, they think being nice is the highest virtue, and it's not. You're debating a scumbag of a person, and it's nothing wrong with you saying that because the Bible would say that. We're all scumbags at one point who needed to be saved by Jesus Christ. She is still a scumbag, a filthy person, a person who perpetuates sexuality to young girls as if they can do it too. She's an OnlyFans creator. She's engaged to a man and still putting out sexuality and putting out her OnlyFans content for people to subscribe so that they can see and touch themselves to the idea of being with her. She admits it's a fantasy she puts out there. She wants nothing more than your young men to give her their money. You're debating with a piece of trash person, and her ideas don't need to be discussed. They need to be dealt with. And I'm not saying that just because, I'm an Andrew Wilson fan and this and that. Me and Andrew Wilson will probably disagree on some things. I don't agree with every time that he has used, profanity against somebody. But I will say this. I agree with his approach far more than I do Trent's approach because at least he's trying to destroy evil. At least he's going in there and destroying people's arguments. He's not pretending like he's sitting down at a coffee shop with friends. These people are evil and they're destroying our society. They're the ones putting pornography in the children's books and presenting them at school and laughing that your kids' first way of viewing sex is through their gay pornography books. And you sit there and think it's discussion worthy. I don't think so. I think people who do that and present that and want that for my children need to be destroyed. And it's not about hate. This is simply, listen, we have an obligation as Christians to protect our society, protect the people we around, and be good stewards of the things God gave us. And as a good steward of my family, I'm not going to allow people like her to destroy the society that I'm going to leave for my children. I have an obligation not to let that happen. And if you think I'm mean, I don't care because I'm going to protect my children before I'm going to be nice to a whore that wants my daughter to do the same thing she does. And if you think calling somebody a whore is wrong, read the book of Jeremiah where the word whore is used over and over again. By God. You can play that.
Main criticism I have of him, and I don't know why. I think that you can do that without name calling, without abusiveness or other tactics, and people will have different approaches, and I'm fine with different Christians offering different approaches, and people will take different approaches to me. I take a more Socratic approach, and that's fine.
That
But,
approach sucks.
I think that there's always for Christians a bare minimum of Christian morality that we should follow. St. Paul says, I can have all knowledge, but if I don't have charity, I'm a resounding gong. And so I think name calling, verbal abuse, it's always off the table. 2 Timothy 2:25 says that a Christian should correct his opponents with gentleness and kindness so they may be rescued from the snare of the devil.
Okay,
Well,
so-
Hold on,
we're-
let's
we're
pause
at an,
this. Here's what they don't understand is that you can do something with love and still be harsh. How do we know? Because the apostle Paul did that very thing. He said to people, you are believing in such heresies that I would rather you believe. This is what he said. Okay, I'm going to put it in my own words. This is what the apostle Paul said. You guys believe in circumcision so much, why don't you just cut your whole dick off? That's what he said. That's what he said. Y'all love circumcision so much, just cut the whole thing off and be done with it. Because they believe circumcision saved them, and he was preaching the gospel of Christ. Y'all think, and this is the thing, people, if he said that today in a church, people would be like, oh, that's part of y'all problem. You don't have the passion and the love that he had. Paul also said he wished he could go to hell if his friends wouldn't go. I can't say that. I don't have that type of love in me. I don't want to go nowhere for eternity for y'all. I'm going to tell you this. Paul was a better man than I, and he always said, among sinners, I am chief. But he had the love, and he had the correction. He had the harshness, and he had the softness. And sometimes you need a Peter, you need a James, you need a Paul, you need a John. They all follow Jesus. You need the people that are harsh. You need some of the people who are simply softer, like Trent. I don't think he's absolutely wrong, but I think when you go into the lion's den, you got to be ready to slay the lions. Don't sit up there, go into the places where these people are perpetuating this degeneracy and not be ready to put it to death. If you're not ready, then this ain't your place. Then debate somebody on the Daily Wire where it's all nice and you can be in front of a fireplace smoking a cigar and talking nicely. Maybe that's your place, but don't come into the lion's den with these degenerates and think you're going to say something and you got to be nice all the time when they are constantly cutting down our society. No, this ain't the place for that. Sometimes you go into a gladiator pit and you got to be a gladiator. And you can correct yourself as you go, but to sit up there and not fight, that ain't what we talking about over here. We need more Christians fighters who gonna say after the battle, yeah, you could have did that better, but I'm glad you are even in the battle. I'm glad you even in the fight. Sitting over here letting somebody run over you while women watching that are wondering if they should start an OnlyFans saying, yeah, she has a point. No, you got to let them know, no, she don't have a point. This is stupid. This is slut behavior. This should be shamed. Not to dunk on her to get a clip. It's to expose evil. The Bible, one of our verses on this channel that we constantly go back to, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. Sometimes exposing ain't so nice. Jesus called himself the stone of offense, not the stone of happiness, not the stone of niceness, the stone of offense. You can play the next. Yeah.
That was pretty coercive, though.
But just to
asked him.
clarify the last point you made, you said it's coercive to ask for oral sex and anal sex because it's a natural, but you kind of conceded that, you kind of deflected, but eating pussy to make a girl come is unnatural in your view, but it's not coercive if
I
you
don't
to
believe
ask
it.
her.
I don't believe
so
it's
it doesn't cash
unnatural.
out in the fact that it's unnatural for it to be for it to qualify as coercion.
No, because I reject that that's unnatural. I think all parts of the body can be kissed, but the man's climax is for a particular thing, and that explains why women are often hesitant to have the climax somewhere outside of the vagina.
Wait. Oral sex on a woman's not unnatural. Does oral sex on the guy?
Well, I think
can
that's-
get behind this.
No,
Of course
it depends
you
what
can.
mean.
Pause
I
this
do
real
think
quick.
though that it would.
And I'm not even trying to be vulgar, but of course she can, because as a feminist, it's all about being selfish. It's all about I do what I want to do and everything should please me. The thing I don't like about this Trent Horn philosophy is that's what it's encouraging women to do. That's terrible. I'm not going to be vulgar and get into all the details of oral sex, but I will say this. For anybody who's subscribing to this Catholic belief that sex is only for procreation and everything like that, that's nonsense. There's a little book in the Bible called Songs of Solomon. No kids are mentioned, and it's all about romantic love between a young man and a young woman. All they doing is talking about sex. So much so that the young Hebrew boys couldn't even read that book until they reached 18. So don't give me this, oh, well, it's all about procreation. No. Sex is a display of love that is supposed to be done in marriage. But what you do in your bedroom is your business. Obviously, you can go somewhat out of the parameters of what God designed. I'm sure you can. Some dude trying to stick stuff up his butt, I don't think that will be of God. I'm just going to let you know. Partially because it's gay. And I don't really, I'm just going to put it this way. Some of y'all nasty. That's all I'm going to say on that. Some of y'all nasty. But what I'm going to say is this. When it comes to other things in the bedroom, when it comes to displaying selflessness, it is good for women to display selflessness. It is good for a man to display selflessness. And you can take that however far you want to take that. But I will say it this way. Everything that you can think of that displays selflessness in the bedroom is something that I think in some ways can be permitted. But to say it's absolutely wrong for a woman to go down on a man, but then when the other way around, a man to go down on a woman, that's totally fine. What type of simp behavior is that? So the woman has all the power in the bedroom. She get to just tell you what to do and you don't get to demand anything of her. That's some simp-like behavior from Trent, man. And you probably think, oh, you just want men to just be basically have porn stars in their room. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is good for a man to give of himself in every way in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom. Is good for a woman to give of herself outside of the bedroom and in the bedroom. And here's the problem in our society. We only look at it one way, and Trent is affirming that. That feminist ideology that you don't ever have to do nothing for a man is wrong. You as a woman should go out of your way to please your husband. You as a husband should go out of the way to please your wife. And you should be selfless in that. And nothing is wrong with me saying that. Here's another thing. Well, you know what? We're going to get to that part later. I'll save that for later. You can continue playing this one though.
Count as masturbation if it is done apart from the marital act, but that gets us into more sticky sexual ethics here. But yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, I think people can see my position about the intrinsic goodness of sexuality, of marriage. When it's ordered towards that end, we have ordered good ends, healthy outcomes, healthy families, healthy children. When it deviates from that, you get to disorders, you get to ugly realities, and I don't like that.
Trent, would you debate Andrew Wilson?
On what?
Huh.
I don't know, your disagreements, I guess. It could just be...
I would. I've been asking him for a year.
You want to debate Andrew?
Yeah, I flew out a year ago to debate him, but he couldn't do it because Rachel fell ill. But I'm booked to the hotel and everything.
Here,
I've been
pause
asking
this.
him.
It's a reason why she wants to debate him. Because, and this gonna sound pretty bold, but it's true. Whores don't mind being degraded on camera. So why would a debate be any different? She can go up there and lose to Andrew Wilson and still get attention. Still get some subscribers to her OnlyFans. She don't care if all her arguments get destroyed. She get more eyes. He's been on Joe Rogan now, so she's just thinking, well, he has this many views and they're probably a male audience, and if I go over there and get destroyed, maybe they'll want to see me get destroyed in other ways too. That's the way whores think. And I'm sorry to have to be that blunt with you, but that's the way it is. And the thing about it that's so crazy is she got destroyed in every single debate she's ever done with Andrew Wilson. Every single one. Not only did she get destroyed, I can't think of one good point she ever made. Not one good point that she ever made in any, you could take her a 2-hour long debate between her and Andrew Wilson and just pinpoint any point in the debate and you go there on YouTube and she will be losing. Every point. Not one good point has she ever made. And I'm giving her points on this one, so I'm not being biased. She's actually, in my opinion, she was putting Trent on the defense the whole time, which is a debate strategy. I can be non-biased, but when she debated Andrew Wilson, she was getting that butt ran through. So no wonder she want the OnlyFans people to come and see her get I ain't gonna say to see her get destroyed again. No wonder she want that. All publicity is good publicity to these people. You can play the rest of that one.
I
mean, he
I'll
owes it
talk
to
to
me after I
Andrew.
got him on Joe Rogan. So
Wait, you got Andrew on Joe Rogan?
Didn't you
you
just
kind
say
of
that?
just said I was the first domino. It
Oh,
goes Farha,
okay.
whatever, Joe Rogan.
That's one way.
Well,
want
I
him
mean,
to
when I
remember
when
the
I
little
do a
people.
debate, I try to keep my debates on specific topics where there's widespread disagreement on
like
a
you
very
running to me.
serious issue. So for me, like pornography, prostitution, fornication, I'll do religious debates on atheism, Protestantism. Our disagreement is really only about how aggressive a person should be. I don't want to debate him on that. I mean, I'm willing to have have dialogues with people who differ from me in an approach, as long as it could be like a constructive dialogue. But if the goal of the exchange is just to use aggressive tactics like constant interruption, insults, backhanded insults, it's like I don't mind having a conversation about that if it could just be chill and relaxed and not it's a debate and he's going to own him. It's like, look, I want to share Christ as
But
many
here's
people
the
as
problem,
possible,
though. Pause
and I am open.
This is why he lost this debate, in my opinion. He wants to have a chill conversation. Stop that. You're not dealing with chill people, as we've said several times before. Stop this. I just want to sit down and have a conversation, perhaps have a beer with somebody. No, this ain't the platform for that. We need people to hash out different worldviews and put them in combat with each other so that the world can see that Christianity will always dominate, whether it be logic, spiritual, mental, philosophical, scientific, all of them. Christianity will dominate every argument. So my problem with him is, I can see why you don't want to debate Andrew. I can see it because it's like, you don't have the guts to do that. You're not built to have that type of conversation where he would actually put you on the defense. I don't think he did that great against Pearl. And Pearl, to me, she was interrupting. She does, like to constantly, do this thing where she's like, and never be done talking. I hate when women be doing that. They typically will just go on a tyrant and just try to like bury you with words. I don't like that type of debate tactic either. But I will say this, Trent, if you're going to come into these debate spaces, be willing to actually battle and not just discuss, because you're not getting anywhere with these people just discussing, because they're not here to discuss with you. The moment you discuss, they're running you down. They're causing you to defend. They're leaving and they're going and saying, look how I destroyed this argument. Look how I destroyed, even though they didn't. And what does that do? It allows people to say, oh, well, dang, she does have a point. Maybe she is right. Maybe her worldview is more superior. And then you did a disservice to Christianity by getting up there and not getting in the fight. Is that the last one?
These YouTube ones, yeah. That's
So
it.
I
Yeah.
did not like this debate for that reason. I thought he did not represent Christianity with the ferocity, with the zeal, with the passion, with the he didn't defend it with the fervency that I felt needed to be defended. He didn't call out the evil the way that I think the apostles would have called it out, or the prophets would have called it out, or Jesus would have called it out. I don't think he did that. I think he was looking to have a conversation and make friends. And he even said at one point during the conversation, I would like to go to eat with you and your fiance. Listen, I'm not opposed to people going out and eating with each other, but I am opposed to you come into a debate trying to be friends with somebody rather than expose their evil ideology. I feel that if you were to destroy these people in the way that they need to be destroyed, that their ideology needs to be put into the ground, they would want nothing to do with you afterwards in the same way that they do Andrew Wilson. Now, can Andrew Wilson do better at like profanity or something like that? I don't even know, because profanity is subjective in a lot of ways. Then do I believe that he's handled everything 100% perfect? I don't believe anybody has. But here's my issue is he's actually willing to make the arguments in ways that other Christians are not. He's willing to take it there with them. And he ain't no punk, so you ain't just going to insult him while he sit back. Many people have tried it and they failed. And I like that about him. He's not no punk. We say that's in the black community. The word punk means it's actually a prison term. It's actually a prison term. And what that means, if you a punk on a unit, you are the dude who they can take stuff from, they can get sexual favors from, they can pass you around to other inmates. That's the punk. And so when I say he's not no punk, too many Christians are punks. You get up on a debate platform and you just get ripped apart, passed around. People say whatever they want. You constantly on the defense. You never you never go on the offense. They call you names. You sit there and say, oh, I guess I'll take that. No, it's about time to fight back. Now let's go to another segment. It's another video. And this woman is despised by everyone on the planet. In fact, I don't know who likes this woman.
Oh yes, I think I know who we're gonna be talking about.
I don't know who likes her.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't like her face. I don't like her haircut. I don't even like. The last movie I liked by her was Dead Presidents, maybe.
Oh wow.
That was in the 90s.
Yep, here we go.
You can play that.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll play it.
He's not ready, and he's kind of backtracking. So
You know
I'm like,
what?
well,
Is
I'm
it
gonna
the
have to
next one?
speak my
I
truth.
don't. It might be. Let's see. So I'm taking them in order here.
Oh, I know. Here, press the X up there on the corner.
The corner. Oh,
No. That one.
Yep.
And go to the one. No, on the other side.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
You see her in the picture? No, down or row.
Right here.
Yeah, click one of those. It's one of those.
He's not ready.
Oh, it's the other
The
one.
other
there.
one. Okay, this one here.
Yep.
You tell,
There you go.
Okay.
Can I tell the little twist part?
Yeah, you tell the little twist
You
part.
tell set it up, because this one I was ready to throw my book across the room. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, everything came out, and I was like, oh, I got to take myself to the table. Like now, mind you, Will and I were not together. We hadn't been together. 2016. And I decided I'm going to take myself to the table. Will says, I want to come to the table with you. And I was really surprised, and I was like, wow. He's like, I don't want you to be at the table by yourself. I want to support you. And so I was like, oh, okay. So he comes to the table, and you know, I try to just, you know, and this is a really complex moment. We come to the table, and Will's not ready. He's not ready. And he's kind of backtracking. And he's going through this motion. And I'm like, So I'm like, well, I'm going to have to speak my truth. But I'm also going to protect you.
Pause this real quick.
So if I got to look.
I'm going to have to speak my truth, but I'm also going to protect you. Is that what she did to Will Smith? Is that what Jada Pinkett Smith... Is that what she did to her husband? Did she really protect him?
No.
Did she really go out of her way to make him look good? She is a terrible person. So not only did she cheat on her husband, she brought her husband to her podcast and then reiterated without an apology and said, yeah, I cheated on you with this 20-year-old dude. And that was years ago. And she's still reconfiguring the story to everyone as if she's in the right. She brought Will and Will was not ready. She's a horrible person, dude. Why did he marry this whore?
I have no idea.
This bald-headed, Cisco-looking woman. What is so good about her? And here's the thing, Will Smith is a superstar. But dude, I'm not hundreds, but so many blockbuster movies he's been in. He is a superstar, and his legacy totally brought down by this wicked woman who's totally like, dude, she's not worth all this. He could have any woman he wanted, and he chose to be with this bald head girl. So you know what? Play the rest, cause it gets worse.
Like the adulterous wife.
You
To
know what,
make
Paul?
sure you're
Is there a
good.
way to rewind that? Because I want y'all to hear the stupidity of the women in the crowd.
So I'm like, well, I'm going to have to speak my truth, but I'm also going to protect you. So if I got to look like the adulterous wife to make sure you're good, I'm going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pause that, please.
And that
Before this dumb woman says anything else. Oh my God. She's trying to make herself out to be the good guy for exposing that she cheated on her husband. And she's saying they weren't together. Well, here's the thing. You didn't say that. You could have said that at the time, but you didn't. You liked the idea of being this married Hollywood superstar couple, power couple, and you ran with it. And now you want to go back and change history and say, I did this for Will and I was going to play the part of being the adulterous wife. You committed adultery. Y'all were married. Now you could say, oh, he cheated on me too. He didn't put that out there in the public. You did. And you say, well, that's not important because cheating is cheating. No, it's not in Hollywood. It is absolutely not in Hollywood. If people keep stuff behind closed doors in their stupid Hollywood way of life, you are ruining his chances of getting movies. You're ruining his chance of being interviewed. You're ruining his whole demeanor and perspective and how he's running his brand. When you go out there and you publicly say, I'm cheating on my superstar husband because he wasn't good enough. You do that, you're ruining everything he built in Hollywood. Yes, you are. Now, as far as Christianity goes, they're not Christians. Will ain't no Christian. They believe in all that new age goofy stuff. Have you heard these people talk about spirituality? They don't know they butt from their mouth. They really don't. They don't know anything. And so I'm not holding them to this, oh, one of them they're Christians. No, they're both not. So all I'm saying is she ruined Will's legacy and she put it out there that she was cheating. If he did cheat, he kept it under wraps. He didn't ruin her legacy. She ruined his. We can play more.
wasn't the case. But I wanted him to be okay. Now, also in that moment, two things. As I'm moving forward, I'm also moving backwards. Because of what I realized at that moment, I got in my martyrdom bag.
You know what? Pause this again.
And
This
what that
woman
is
so
for me
dumb.
is,
I don't like her at all. I don't like the way she talk or anything. Why is she talking like she's reading a poem from, a
Yeah,
Hebrew,
I was thinking
a
that. Yeah,
Negro
mhm.
spiritual? What are you talking about? You trying to use words you have no idea what they mean. I had to get in my martyrdom bag. You ain't dead. What are you talking about? She just saying stuff because the dumb women in the crowd are gonna be like, yeah, girl, What, you eating something that tastes good? Shut up. She ain't said nothing intelligent, and y'all over here hyping it up. Martyrdom bag. You can play that. I don't even like how she
I
dressed.
hadn't quite learned how to love myself and not leave Will on the side of the road. And I hadn't learned how to love Will and not leave myself on the side of the road.
They
And
clap
in
for
that
this.
moment, because I
You know what?
felt so
Now I gotta pause
bad
it again.
that he was in.
Women who say I have to learn how to love myself, stay away from those women. Most likely they're whores. because you don't have to learn how to love yourself. You naturally love yourself from birth. A baby doesn't cry when their mother's hungry or when their sisters are hungry or brothers are hungry. They cry when they're hungry. You're naturally selfish. You're born into sin. You don't have to learn how to love yourself. This phrase is so R to the retarded. I wish people would stop saying it, especially Christians. You don't have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to love God. Anyone who says that phrase is a walking red flag. Especially if he's a man. If he's man, he's a walking, flaming homosexual. This is not even up for debate. A man should never use, I gotta learn how to love myself, bro. No. Only women can get away with saying that dumb stuff, and women say, yes, 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 what? You wasn't loving yourself when you let the other dude bang you in Will's house that he paid for? Where was loving yourself? You wasn't loving yourself? You wasn't loving Will, so who was you loving? It looks like you love yourself pretty good. And why do all these rich people dress in a way where it look like they just wearing expensive pajamas? We could play the rest.
In this situation, I decided I'm gonna love you, Will, and I'm gonna leave myself at the side of the road.
Woo! Somebody said sheesh.
I wouldn't have known that was an aspect that I needed to heal if it hadn't been for my kids, my mother, my friends were so hurt that I had done that to myself.
Yeah,
They
because
couldn't
they
believe.
they actually asked you afterwards. Now, mind you, smart businesswoman. They own their content. She could have killed it.
Yeah.
She could have said, "Oh, heck no, this didn't work as planned."
Yeah.
But you did it anyway.
Yeah, my manager, Miguel, Ellen Rakuten, who's the producer, they begged me. My PR, my Karen Sensor, they all begged me. They were like, please don't do this, please don't do this. And two things, I was like, I needed people to know. First, I wasn't going to be emotionally blackmailed.
Oh!
I was like, hold up. I'm going to put myself out there. You ain't got the period. And on top of it, I want Will out. I don't want him part of this. Okay, I'm the bad guy. I'm the worst. Great. Let's be done with it. Right. I wanted it done. You got your answer. I'm the adulterous wife. Let's be done. And let's move on.
Hold on, pause this.
As to get...
You don't get to say let's move on when you do something evil. Okay, I put it out there, I'm done. No, you don't get to just be the good guy now and try to recreate history to where you're the good guy. No, you did something evil and people held you accountable and you didn't like it. Well, I put it out there, so it's done. No, it ain't done. You admitted you committed adultery and you should be held accountable. People should look down on you for that. You don't get to say when it's done and when it's over. The thing I just dislike about, and this is what, we need to stop letting old women try to dictate what's wise and what's not. 99% of the time, you get old women together and they don't know what they talking about. They need to shut up and let the men talk. And I'm being dead serious. All this, ooh, girl, that's so true. None of what she said was true. What are these old women talking about with all these weird old people noises? I don't want to hear what y'all had to say. None of y'all have anything intelligent to say or add to society. We let women run the black community and look at it now. Y'all so wise, and why y'all raising these little punk ghetto children? These little YNs that go and cause problems. These little hood rat girls that twerk on top of cars. Y'all so wise, y'all can't fix our own community. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. Y'all get together and then, what did she say was going to better relationships or that you could learn from? Nothing. It's all this self-grandizing language of, oh, I had to learn myself. I had to love myself. I had to do what's best for me. I had to tell my truth. My, me. No wonder people aren't getting married because they look up to people like this bald head girl. They look up to her and they will go and listen to her talk rather than they would a patriarchal, Bible believing, godly church. They'll get in the crowd and go, to her. You can play the rest.
Through it, the family through it, let it go, right? And but I had to learn. That was a big learning moment for me. I wouldn't have been able to see that aspect of myself that needed to learn that I could love myself and love others, that we could all be on.
This is stupid. Let me. It's fine because what she says is pretty much on par with that. Here's my thing, and people say this phrase too, and it's so dumb. They say this phrase of, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have learned. It would be better if you had learned without doing that, ma'am. If I wouldn't have cheated on you, I wouldn't have known how to love you correctly. I would rather you learn how to love correctly without the cheating. Wouldn't that be better? If I wouldn't have killed somebody, I wouldn't have learned how to take care of someone. You see how dumb that is? If I wouldn't have went drunk driving, I wouldn't have known how to drive at all. How dumb is this? This is the logic these people use. How about you don't drink and drive and then learn from other people's mistakes before you go out and do it and then act like it's a beneficial, virtuous thing that you did the wrong thing so that you could finally one day do the right thing. That's a dumb way to look at life. If I wouldn't have fell down the hill, I wouldn't have known how to climb. These people sound so good when they're saying it. So I just thought it was dumb. You know what, Mr. Producer? Let's read some of the ways she has disrespected Will. And that's on, I think it's the last tab, or either the last or the first, whichever one.
Which one? I've got.
Yeah, that one, I think.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can pull that on screen too.
Right.
So they can
Oh,
see
here we
it.
go. Is this it right here? Oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it started number one, yeah.
Got it. So this all started with that reveal on Red Table Talk about 6 years ago. And what happened was she publicly confirmed a relationship with a guy named August during a period she described as a separation. The term entanglement went viral. And people saw
Yeah, because remember that? Do you remember when she was like, she wasn't saying it was an affair. She wasn't saying she got bust down by a young man.
Right.
She said it was an entanglement. Like she fell and tripped into the man's wee-wee.
Right.
No, that's not an entanglement.
That's not how that, no. And she discussed something very personal and she turned it into a public thing. And some people thought that she was minimizing things. Well, she was minimizing it. She was trying to excuse it all.
All right, now number 2.
Yep. And then she called her marriage publicly a bad marriage. So on that Red Table Talk, she referred to relationship with Will at one point as a, quote, bad marriage for life, end quote. And it was negative and was just dismissive to many viewers of it. And that clip went viral.
And she did that because she was trying to be cute and say like the bad boys for life phrase. I don't know why Big Simp Will went along with this.
I don't know why he did it. Yeah.
And I don't spend enough time calling him out for his simpery because he was a big old simp for her. Yeah. And he should have never been.
Right. Yeah. And we move on to point 3.
Yeah.
So there was some revelations in a 2023 memoir. She revealed that they had been separated since around 2016. While still publicly appearing as a couple. And then she shared some more details about the relationship. And according to this, it was people were surprised at how long they had been separated. At that point, it had been 7 years.
Here's the thing that I don't like about that. Stop playing games for your public image. If you're going to sit up here and say, we're not together, me and Will weren't together, then don't be mad when you didn't put that out there. You guys are trying to play We're a big married happy family, but we get to cheat on each other behind closed doors. Now, when you get exposed for cheating, you can't blame nobody.
Mhm.
You the one presented yourself as still being married. That was you. Y'all didn't get divorced because you knew that was going to hurt your money because you guys were a power couple in Hollywood. Y'all still was going to red carpet events together. Y'all still was doing interviews together. Y'all still was playing like y'all was married. That was your fault for trying to present to the public that you were the perfect wife. Meanwhile, you were cheating with a dude that was half your age. You weirdo. Let's not play this game like, oh, well, we have been broken up for a while. Well, you didn't tell anybody that. And you know your relationship and everything you do is public. It had been rumors that they had an open marriage or something like that. But when you do goofy stuff
I
like
didn't
that,
remember about
expect
that.
goofy consequences.
Right.
You can read the next one.
So there was. Oh, let's go here. So Will Smith then tried to give her a birthday celebration, and she thought that it wasn't aligned with what she wanted.
Yeah.
And it fed a narrative that whatever he was doing, it wasn't appreciated.
She didn't appreciate anything. She publicly humiliated him all the time. Anything she had to say something about Will, she said he wasn't a good lover. She said he didn't throw her a good birthday. She's saying that wasn't doing what she wanted. She had such public disdain for this man. He should have never accepted that. But I'm going to also tell you this. Any woman that does that to a man is a terrible person. If somebody does something to you, I teach my kids this. I don't care what it is. I teach my little kids this truth. When somebody goes out of the way to do something for you, it doesn't matter if you don't like it. You don't tell them you don't like it. You tell them, I love that you have done something out of the kindness of your heart for me that you didn't have to do. You don't get up here and be like, well, it wasn't what I wanted. I remember when my kids were super little and one of them had a birthday party and somebody got him a gift and they said, I already have that. I nearly slapped that kid across the room. Because the people who bought it for you were doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They didn't have to get you anything. They didn't have to get you nothing. They didn't know you already had it. Be grateful. Somebody don't have to do nothing for you. Imagine you spending the birthday alone. You can read the next one.
Yeah. Then we move on to some ongoing discussions publicly about the marriage. We just saw one of those videos. She was on some press tours and she talked about, she gave some private details. And a lot of people think, private matters should stay private, but others were supporting her transparency, kind of like those women, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, private matters should stay private.
Absolutely. These are things that, especially in Hollywood, when you got handlers and when you got millions and millions of dollars wrapped up in everything you do, why would you sit up here and embarrass your husband who is the superstar in the relationship? The reason why she did it because she wants to be the superstar. She's jealous of Will. He had movies like Ali. He's had movies where blockbusters like Bad Boys. He had Men in Black. He had Independence Day. He had iRobot. He had all them other when he was going through his sci-fi hero fades. He had Stitch or Hitch, whatever it was called, the romantic comedies.
He was in Suicide Squad too.
Yes,
I think.
he
was
was
all those
doing
movies.
big numbers.
Yeah. Mhm.
And she ain't been in a movie since the 1990s that was good. She was a B-list actor. He was absolutely S tier or A rank actor. And she could not handle it, and everybody saw it. She couldn't handle it. This is not no, because every time she got in the public eye, she would constantly put him down, and everybody else is like, dude, this dude is making moves. We never expected this little boy from Philly to grow up being a rapper, to go on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, to being one of the best black actors of our time. Nobody expected that. And he was constantly getting praise, and everybody was curious about their relationship, and every time they got in the public eye, she tore him down. And as a man, you should not accept that.
Right. We got a comment from Holler Hoppin about this. That she's still in love with Tupac.
Yeah, she's still in love with Tupac. She had a small fling with Tupac, and she wrote in her little book that she still loved Tupac. Tupac ain't expressed that love for her when he was alive. He was not. Lou, she has a fantasy about Tupac that I don't think he reiterated that expression of love for her. And the fact that she's constantly comparing a dead man to her husband, that's disrespect. And I will say this, man, as a man, don't accept that type of disrespect. If your girl bring her old boyfriends up, she's boyfriend, girlfriend, that's a leavable offense, man. I'm not talking about maybe she did it by accident. She just say, "Oh yeah, Johnny used to do this, and he used to like this." That's one thing, but that's one strike. I'll tell her right off the bat. You keep bringing up old boyfriends to me. I'm not him. He ain't me. He ain't here. He don't pay for you. I do. You better leave Johnny out this conversation. He ain't here. You want to be with Johnny, go be with Johnny. Call it jealousy if you want, but I'm telling you right now, I don't play like that. She constantly bringing up Tupac all the time. Go be with Tupac. Go join him in the grave then. You love him so much, be with him. So I think that was that the last point, or is it one more?
That was the last one with that. Yeah. Then we move on to a different section here.
All right, let's go to one of our final sections over here. And that is, click on that video. Are they all acting up like that? Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Politan to decide whether they want to have kids, a wife or a husband.
Maybe TikTok, where the girl with the list is something that
Isabel,
this
you
is
have this.
changing
Can I just finish my statement, please? You're like using these extreme examples of people in media who obviously have an incentive to get the most anger out of you or anybody as examples of like what average people are thinking. I don't think. One sec, Isabel, please. I don't think anybody in here who's like a Democrat, maybe more aligned with me, is like, oh no, I hate kids. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to be a wife. I want to be a husband one day. I'm a Democrat.
For you.
I want to be a husband. I want to be a father one day. I have no problem with that. But like, broadly, this is you're making it seem
problem.
like.
There is a
I would love if I could just finish because
Gen
you talk for like 5 minutes. So this is not broadly a problem where people across the aisle or generally are like, no, we hate kids. You're talking about a fertility issue. The reason people aren't having kids is because they can't afford it.
No.
They can't buy homes. They're pushing off their marriages.
Let me just read this. About 50 years ago, the United States fertility rate was around 3.6 births per woman around the mid-1970s, while today it is about 1.6 births per woman. The CDC reports in 2024 total fertility rate 54.5 births for 1,000 women ages 15 to 44. And at 2025 reports puts it at 53.1. What this means, the drop is about 55% compared to the mid 1970s. 55% drop. 55% is more than half of what we used to produce when it comes to children. You don't think that's a problem? Wait, and let me ask you this. In the 1970s, if you go back, 1950s, there was more kids. If you go back, 1930s, there were more kids. Why did they have less than we have now? Why is the poverty standard up than it was back then, and we're having less children? So Harry Sisson, who's in this debate, this is nonsense what he's spitting because it's not about money. Why is it poor countries have more children than in the United States? Explain that to me. Why when you go to India? Why when you go to Pakistan? Why when you go to any of the other European poor countries do they have more children than we do? The reason is because feminism has told women to put their childbearing years on the back burner while they pursue an education and try to compete with men. And by the time they're done competing and realizing they hate to be at work, then they want to run back to a man at age 35 and they only have enough eggs to pop out one child with autism. And that's part of the problem. They're having children so late that they're having all these birth defects and problems, and they want to have more children, but they can't because women are not made to be pumping out children at 35 like they are when they're 22. And the liberals don't want to admit that because if they were to admit that, they would have to admit that feminism is a detriment to society. If you continue in feminism, there will be no more society. They cannot admit that. because then people might see they've been fed a lie. You can play the rest from Harry Sissy or whatever his name is.
Because it's so expensive. It's not because people don't want to have kids. I'm sure most people in here probably want to have kids one day. Or be,
I sure hope so, and that is changing a whole lot in
Can I
record
actually
time.
just ask, like, do most people in here, maybe hands up, like, you want to have kids, you want to be husband, wife?
Amen.
Great.
We love that.
So
Nature is healing.
This is a perfect example of how, Isabel, respectfully, you are distorting this conversation.
Oh,
Most
that's so
people
silly,
who are
Harry.
bipartisan want family.
Of course we do. Of course we
doesn't
do. And you
matter.
say there's
Listen,
these
let's pause
incentives
this.
to rise up anger and
It's not about them wanting, because a lot of women are delusional. So they want kids in the perfect environment where they have a husband that makes $500,000 or more, and they take trips to Paris 3 times a year, and they have 3 cars. One is a Lamborghini and one's a Toyota, so that they can go and do bike riding, and one is an SUV. That's not realistic, and it will never happen. So yes, people want everything in the perfect environment, but the perfect environment does not exist. And if you are a Christian, what you need to be taught is to be content with what you have and obey God, be fruitful and multiply, whether you think it's a good time or not. If I could go back in time, I would have had more children. People think I already have a lot of children. I would have had more children. Because guess what? You're never going to be ready. It's never going to be the perfect timing. But every child that I have, I would not give them back. They were such a blessing to me that I would have more. And what's happening now is the selfishness of our society is all about me, 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 me. So therefore, if I don't have enough money to live comfortably, I'm not going to go out there and sacrifice so that I can give and protect and have another life in my household because I want to live comfortable. When I grew up, we lived in a bad neighborhood. We didn't know it was bad because my parents raised us right. They didn't have to give us everything that the suburban kids had because they raised us right. So all this not being content with what you have and acting as if the standard of living has to be, keeping up with the Joneses type thinking, that's what's keeping our society down and why we will not exist if we keep going down this road of not having children. You can play the rest.
people and change people's positions all the time. Those are the
not say that last
exact
part.
same incentives that drove the American Communist Party 60 years ago on the floor of the United States House of Representatives to read off their list of ways to destroy America. This actually happened. Feel free to look this up. 60 years ago, the American Communist Party said in their list of 45 goals to destroy America, top and chief among them were to encourage easy divorce, prevent people from having children, make sure people don't want to have children in the first place. And it's those same sentiments that have been echoed for virtually every single headline, mainstream media outlet, college campus, television movie produced out of Hollywood.
Yes, we
It shows
got it.
the
Right.
Los Angeles Times to say it's shameful
Isabel, on
to
that
want to
note-
have children.
You're talking about the Communist Party on the House floor. Nobody in here is a communist. Nobody.
I didn't
there's
say
no,
they were, but I'm
there's
saying
no,
there
wait,
was
wait,
an
wait,
agenda
just one
to
second.
destroy.
That's a stupid thing to say because just because nobody might claim to be a communist doesn't mean that communism has not infiltrated American society and has influence in every single college that we have. Every single college has a Marxist professor that's pushing Marxist communist ideology, and they believe in the useful idiots that will get them from socialism to communism. Just study history. The communists never just come out and say, we're going to kill you and take control of everything you have and force doctors to work in the fields. They never say that. They present it like a utopia. And guess what? When you go to every college campus, these stupid little kids, boys or girls, will say we need to have a utopia where we can all work together with a socialist society and take money and destroy and eat the rich. That's communist propaganda. You don't have to declare yourself to be a communist. We just call them leftists now.
Yeah.
They wouldn't dare come out and say communism. They know better. You can play the rest.
Okay.
It's only a little bit of that
Yes,
one left.
yeah, there's not much.
Like the
Hold on, get
family.
through this
Let's
quick.
get to
I
the
totally got
question
through
at
it.
hand. I think there's
100%, but it's not the Communist Party. Nobody's communist. Nobody's advocating for that.
What a big dummy. Play that. You can play the next one.
Okay.
Grounds who follow Clavicular, the streamer. And I wanted to know what you guys think is driving this trend of looks maxing. What does this say about young men and the state of young men, how they view vanity?
You can start, Harry, as a young man.
I don't want to start.
I'm assuming.
I don't want to start. I think it is such a weird kind of part of the internet that I think is easy to write off as weird, but I think genuinely has some underlying causes and issues. These algorithms are making young men and women think that they have to looks max and, tippy toe max or whatever he's doing these days to get a partner or be successful or anything like that. And I think we have to come back to social media and regulation there. I'm not going to stand up here and say I exactly know what to do about this and how we create a culture where we tell young men that you are enough. You don't have to be a streamer and live in Miami and pretend to drive Lamborghinis. You can just be a hardworking guy and you'll find your wife. Or
the reason why you don't have an answer, Harry Sisson, is because leftist ideology got us to where we are here, where clavicular exists.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The reason why he exists is because women's standards are no longer about what is necessary for survival. They're no longer about pair bonding. They're no longer about finding a godly Christian man who can be a father to their children. They're about whatever tingles me down there. And so a guy who's good looking like Clavicular will go and wipe the floor and sleep with 5 different women a night, whereas the hard working man that works in a factory can't even get a sniff from a girl. And I mean that. Because what you see with Clavicular's ideology, this looks maxing ideology, is all about a man elevating so he can at least have a chance in his pick of the women. Whereas before, it will be one man for every one girl. And you will find a nice girl, you will settle down, and you will get married. Now, because of feminism. And we have to address feminism because we're not going to get to the source of the problem if we don't. Because of feminism, women feel, this is not true, but they feel as though they don't need men anymore. Because they feel this way, they go out, they pursue an education, and they just sleep with whoever makes them feel good at the time, and they go off their feelings. It used to be the father and the mother would get together in their church, in their community, and say, that young man is a good young man who will make a good father. He has good parents. He has good morals. He has good principles. You and him, we approve of him marrying our daughter. And the families will get together and discuss these things. And they still should do this today. But since our girls, we send them off to college to be boss babes, little ugly men, we send them out to be little men. And so they go out and they try to contort the world and rah, rah, I'm a woman, hear me roar. And they go out and they do dumb stuff. And then they come back after they're done doing dumb stuff and being ran through like a town bicycle. And then they want to come back and find a man. And then the men say, well, we don't know. And then they have a bunch of bitterness at age 35. Oh, where have all the good men gone? This is what's happening in society. That's why you don't have an answer, because you and your ideology caused this. You can play it.
Partner or everything like that's great. But I think it really does speak to some broader issues that are going on. And again, I don't have the solution right now. I think it's very
I know you don't.
Yeah, I think this really is stemming from two sides of the same coin of what maxing your life is supposed to look like for young women and young men across the board, be it the alpha male podcast bros or the more girl talk feminist call her daddies of the world. The messaging that's really being presented to Gen Z right now is unilaterally the same. Sleep with as many people as possible because it's going to feel really good. Make a whole bunch of money and keep it in your bank account. Work your way up the corporate career ladder. Drive 15 Lamborghinis. In the men's case, move to Dubai inexplicitly. That's always the number one piece of advice to max your life and really embrace this life of isolation that has a whole lot more to do with physical vanity or outward appearances rather than internal purpose and happiness. I think that's a huge lie that has propagandized entire generations. It's why millennials have the lowest marriage rate.
Here's a problem that people forget to address. The lie that they tell women, every woman can do. The lie that they're telling men, only a few men can do. So what they tell men is go and become the top of the top. Become the best man you can be. Drive your Lamborghini, get rich, and you'll get all the girls. Part of that is true. If you become the best you can be and you become a billionaire, you will find a girl that's willing to do whatever you say. If you become a billionaire, sure you will. Elon Musk got plenty baby mamas. Then you got to put this in the fact. You got to factor this in. How many men will actually become Elon Musk? Not many. Now, what lie do they tell the women? Go pursue your education. Put family rearing and all that stuff on the back burner. Be a boss babe. How many women have that opportunity? Pretty much every one of them. Every girl I know is in college or has went to college or got some type of degree. Every single one. Very few I know just stayed home and become a homemaker. Very few. So what the lie they're telling women, the women are following. The lie that they're telling men know we can't all be billionaires. So you see how lopsided society is? Which one do we need to address? We need to address the women. Because it's far more of them who give in to feminist ideology than there are men who think they can be the next clavicular. Let's play the rest.
Today in America that we've seen since we began recording marriage rates in the 1860s. This is having a societal impact, but isn't necessarily a right versus left issue so much as it is an attack on the family. We deserve to be happy as a generation. We deserve to find purpose. Our society certainly needs the stability of the family. Families are the bedrock of the most flourishing societies throughout all of human history. But you at the individual level.
She's using feminine words and they lead you down a wrong path, which is why we can't have females lead us. You don't deserve to be happy. You need to do your duty whether you're happy or not, as a man or a woman. God told us to be fruitful and multiply. God says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. You ought to live by godly duties, godly principles, regardless of you think they're going to make you happy or not. That don't mean God won't let you be happy. God gave me a good wife. But that doesn't mean you sit up here and you let your happiness dictate you or even factor into what you do next. If you got to take care of your household as a man or as a woman, your happiness should be 10th on the list of things you need to be considering. When your kid is sick and they need food, your happiness does not factor in. You can play the rest.
Deserve to find someone who loves you and adores you and cherishes you. I'm incredibly fortunate that I have found that in my husband. And of course, I want that for everyone else in our generation too.
More agreement.
That sounds good. And it sounds real good. But the thing about it is, a lot of times we let women lead our conservative party, and they're just a different flavor of boss babes than the liberals are. And we need to stop listening to them so much, and we need to actually encourage them to sit down and let the men speak. And women don't want to hear this because they say, we need to have a voice. We need to have a voice. No, whenever y'all have a voice, y'all destroy everything. We need to let the men dictate what's going to go on in society because we tried the other ways. We tried the liberal ways. We tried to let, all this, let women have a voice and let them have a say. Yes, they can have a say, but they need to stay in a woman's place and stop trying to dictate how society will go. We need to stop going to them for answers about how society should work. We need to listen to the men. A lot of these, especially suburban fathers, their voice has been so stifled, we don't even know what they think, and they're scared to say what they think. They've been wusses for so long, they can't even tell their daughter to stop whoring. They can't even tell her to stop. They have no voice, and they can't dictate anything in their household, and then they wonder why society is falling. Stop listening to the women. Stop letting the women have a platform that everybody just needs to gather around and listen to what women say. No, we've listened to them long enough. It's time for the men to speak. And I really mean that. It's such a disservice that we sit up here and let, all these women get together and just start dictating what men should do and how to make society better. And they're always wrong. Or they always do it in a feminine way where it's like, no. That's not going to work. Society is not this democracy where we got to sit and listen to everybody's opinion. Let the men discuss how to fix things. Let us fix it. And then we'll tell you when we need you. And some people ain't going to like that. But that's why, our society is the way it is. We listen and let everybody have a voice, and they don't need a voice. So I don't even know if we'll go over the next section. I'll probably save that because we already kind of over time a little bit. So I will say this. If you like what you're hearing, like, share, subscribe. We are doing big things. We're trying to move up in the world. And we're going to continue growing. You got anything you want to add before we stop, Mr. Producer?
I just wanted to reiterate, just like, share, and subscribe, please.
Yes, absolutely. All right, you guys. We'll catch you next time on The Righteous Edge. Peace out.